It's day 5. Good brick wall to talk about today. Don't have a list of the things that I do wrong. I keep mentioning them, but this one's a pretty good one. My mind boggles when it gets to how much to automate. I am an engineer by trade, and I sure do like lights and dials, and I sure do have quite a lot of them, but I tend to get sort of saturated by the options of plugins to the point where I almost can't commit to doing anything because there's just too many options. I don't really know what else to say about this issue. Obviously there's no one actually watching these videos at the moment. I'm sure people will, and I'd be interested to hear what other people's opinions are on that and how they deal with that, whether they just commit and go through stuff and just try, go down alleys and see if they result in good results, or how they sort of organize their mind to take advantage of all these options. I'm just going to go through, been mucking around with Filter Bank, which is a Tone 2 product. This is pretty good. Like, the problem, I think, my issue with this is that I'm using it way too wet. So, because I have the wetness up, right, I'm basically just using everything's going through the filter. It's getting quite changed, and I think subtlety is the key, but I don't really have any at the moment. But anyway, I'm just going to go through a couple of things that the synth, well, actually they say it's like a synth, but it isn't. It is a little bit, but anyway. So you've got two filters here. The routing is fairly obvious. Like, you can choose whether you want to just simply use one or both. That's it. So this is quite a lot of the only problem is you do hit the limiter pretty quickly. I don't know whether that's because I'm putting in too strong of a signal. I mean, you can get some pretty awesome sounding stuff quite quickly. It's just I think it's got to be used subtly. I think there's a tendency for me to go, this sounds pretty freaking awesome, and then I go, I'll just use this for the entire sound or whatever. Whereas, and I think a lot of people destructively at it, whereas I don't do that. Right, as I was saying, I just trailed off then while someone came around here. So quite interesting. So that's obviously routing filter 1 into 2. You can see that this waveform is shuddering somewhat. And that's because it's running through this step sequencer, which is engaging every now and again and subtracting some filter cutoff, so it's constantly just shuddering. So if I were to move the sync up, it's probably better if I move, yeah, that's better. So now you can see the filter being modulated, and I can bring this up and also control just how sharp this is. It's probably better off if I bring the sync down to show that. Let's try filter 2. Not very good on this particular filter. Wow. Shape of the modulation suddenly comes into effect, where this can give some quite average sounds, really. But subtlety is probably the key in this particular instance. There's also modulation occurring from these oscillators here, so you can see that constantly filter 2 is actually constantly being moved by this as well. What about if we cue the resonance? See the resonance of the filter, it's getting a little bit out of control now, because you can see this pushing up here. That's the resonance of the filter. I think resonance pops. It's quite easy to get a sort of a resi sound too quickly from a filter. I think that's just one of my mistakes. Anyway, so that's this. I mean, there's more to it. I mean, subtlety would be to make the not so wet, for instance. This gives the sound movement. I mean, that's the sound without it. It's subtle, the effect, but I mean, if you've been making music for a while, and I'm sure most of you have, you know that filter movement pretty much tricks the ear into not getting bored, or tricks the mind into not getting bored. I shouldn't say the ear has a mind, and that way, you know, you can get away with using synths, because synths are far less dynamic than say a guitar or something like that. And I think we all envy the expression of a guitar when we're using synths, and we all respect those who use synths really well. But the key is to be able to control your automation. I say that as a person who does not. One other thing is that with a synth like Massive, it's often not necessary to use such heavy effects on the end of it. But if we were to use a synth like, now I will, if we use the synth like albino or albino, depending on your particular orientation. Don't know why we've got no sound. Oh, I do. This, I mean, the albino is a good synth, but it can often sound like crap at the start. It's not as easy to control as Massive is, and that's why Massive's so popular, because it's just so easy to control. I mean, there are certain things like, and I'm hesitant to complain because, you know, maybe I'm just doing things wrong, but if I assign a MIDI knob to this line here, right, cut off, and then I change the filter type, pretty stupidly, like if I change the filter type to Silk or whatever, that MIDI knob is no longer assigned to the cutoff knob. So it's things like that that really just, you know, stuff you around and make you not want to use the synth, because this is a good synth, but it isn't as good sounding out of the box as Massive is. In fact, I mean, I've downloaded preset packs for this. I own, I think, quite a lot of Limb Plug, maybe even the whole pack. I mean, I did buy it at the Christmas time. I bought pretty much the whole pack, so I've got all the presets or whatever. It's just unimpressive. It can be impressive. I'm sure that, you know, it's something you've got to really kind of modify. But yeah, just out of the box, albino is not as good as Massive, and that's why, well, I suppose that's one of the reasons why people use Massive, because it just sounds so good and it's so intuitive. Anyway, I'm going to move back to the track now and attempt to in some way automate. I'm going to fix the arrangement up and then attempt to in some way automate things to make this sound good, and probably I'll have to start trying to segregate frequencies and that type of thing, because yeah, there's pretty much none of that. Okay, so spent some time back on the project. I haven't done any automation, or very little. I've just been mostly mucking around with adding pieces. Now it is looking a little messy. I don't know why it looks like this. What is this? Well, maybe it has no name. Okay, so basically I've given it a lot more tune to it, but I'm not sure that it's 100%. Well, I know it's not 100%, but I'm not sure it's really what I want to do. But anyway, I'm going to sign off tonight because I'm tired. So I'm just going to play what I have. I mean, I've kind of stuffed up the structure a bit, but I don't really know what the bridge is or what the chorus is anymore. And I know I said when I was starting that it was supposed to be a song structure, but yeah, shit happens. But we'll get back to it, I should say, at the moment. Anyway, good night.